So I just wrapped up with a 9,000-ish mile road trip with the Frontier and the Lone Peak camper. So I figured what better time to finally do my overview video than after I've kind of run it through all its paces and figured everything out. So I figured I'd start with a quick tour of kind of the front and like the non-camper side of things. So up front I have a Z1, I believe it's the Recon bumper with a Badlands 12K winch and then a Baja Designs light bar in there, and then two Amber LP4 light pods kind of mounted in the ditch light location. Really been loving this. The light bar is coming super handy whenever we're driving at night or on dirt roads at night. I just flick that thing on and it is so much brighter than any high beams I've ever had. So just kind of lights up the entire forest, and then the same with the light pods. I can pretty much see everything. And then luckily haven't been able or haven't had to use the winch yet, but it's kind of just nice for the peace of mind whenever we're out and about in the middle of nowhere. If something happens, I can definitely self-rescue myself, I guess. And then you can see I do not have the wind fairing on currently. I took it off when we got back home because I had some of the screws rattled loose on a drive, so I've got to go buy some new screws to put it back on. But usually there's a wind fairing up there in the front of the camper. And then I also have these Upper Left Adventures, the rain gutter pretty much. So this is super nice because when it's raining, the water will just come straight down onto the door and drip straight inside, but this kind of redirects the water onto the top of the truck and redirects it a bit, so that's super handy. Okay, so up here up front, I haven't done a whole lot. I have a bullet point mounting system for the phone that you kind of replace this top piece of the dash with. Super enjoy having that. Have a magnet here so I can just slap my phone up there whenever I want it. Just some small interior stuff. I replaced this little armrest cover with something off Amazon, which is super nice because the one that comes with the truck is a bit, well, it just doesn't feel super sturdy, and I feel like it would just rub away over time. And then I'll show a close-up, but I also have a aux beam light controller for the light bar and the ditch lights right here, so really liking that. And that's pretty much about it for the front part of the cab. Okay, so over here in the back there is quite a bit going on. I replaced the 3/4 section of the rear seats with this Goose Gear seat delete. I have a whole other video on the install of that. It was definitely an undertaking. Don't know if I would do it again, but I did it and it's in here. It is nice to be able to store stuff underneath here and still kind of have a clean top, I guess. Like I store some essentials. Like I have a small chainsaw, some recovery stuff, some extra shoes, clothes, extra things for the camper in case anything breaks, stuff like that. The only thing I don't really like about it is when we were like loaded down for our trip, we had a whole bunch of bags on here, so if I ever needed to get in here, I had to take everything out to get to this, which is annoying. I wish there was somewhat of a side access. I guess I could cut something in there, but just a thought. And then I have this Amazon trash can right here in the back, super handy. I can kind of just reach over from the driver's seat and throw stuff in there. Then over here I have this Onward rear seat organizer. Well, I got the top like headrest one and the back of the seat, so this thing has like bug spray, sunscreen, walkie-talkies, a little fire extinguisher, sunglasses, headlamp, so that's all quick access. I keep that stuff in there all the time. And then over here I have a little hatchet, some first aid in here, an umbrella, other miscellaneous things, rain jacket, and then it kind of holds my windshield cover in the back of it a little bit there. So that's been super nice. And then up here, I don't know if you can really see, but I have this Z1, or no, not Z1, Z-Bad, I don't really know what to call this, roof organizer, but it basically attaches to the handles and then the window over by the driver's side, and kind of gives you quite a bit of extra storage up top, which has been helpful. Like I put snacks up there, I put rain jacket, extra hats, because I like to go through all my hats, so I just kind of keep them stuffed up there. And yeah, I mean, just having a small truck and trying to maximize all the storage possibilities was a big concern of mine with this build, so that definitely helped with it. And obviously I'm just a sucker for Instagram ads, and that thing popped up on my feed and I was like, well, this would be perfect, so I got it. But yeah, super enjoying the setup I have back here, and yeah, that's it for the back. Alright, well, I just recorded the entire portion about the suspension and everything, and my mic was not working, so I love that. Back to that, I have Falcon Wild Peak AT4s in the stock size 265, 70, 17. All around, love that. Kind of a mix of better for highway, I guess, a little bit, not going like for a 32 or 33 tire size. So trying to maximize my miles per gallon a little bit. And yeah, I love these. I mean, they perform great on road, super quiet, and then off road had no issues at all. And then stock wheels, really love these stock wheels in the truck. Suspension wise, Z1 lift spring in the front, so it's a heavier coil than the stock one. So swap that out and that gives about a 1.5 to 2 inch lift in the front. Definitely helps with the weight from the bumper and the winch and everything. And then in the rear, I did a shackle lift, so that just lifts from the leaf springs. And then I added airbags in the rear as well to help with all the weight from the camper and everything. Once I got the camper on, when I drove it back from Colorado, I immediately knew I was gonna have to do something to help with the weight in the rear, especially when we added all the weight from all our bags and food and all the supplies we would need for our road trip. So got the airbags on before our trip, and it helped a bunch. I have those routed right back to where the license plate mount is, so I can just unscrew the caps and use my little mini air compressor and adjust the pressure of the airbags depending on the weight we have in there. So been super helpful, no complaints there, and loving the setup so far. All right, so here we are moving to the rear of the camper where kind of everything happens. So it's nice, all these doors in the Lone Peak have one handle, which I really like over the other brands, rather than having to flick two handles to open the doors. So one handle, a lock on each of them, and same key works on every single door. So that's been super helpful. And then to pop open the camper, it's so easy. I've gotten a couple compliments on the road. People are like, "Oh wow, you set that thing up so fast." So essentially, I just drop the tailgate, hop up here, pop these two latches right here, and then you just push up, and then the struts kind of take it up by itself. Take the bungee and put it down, and then all I have to do is reach inside, grab this bar that kind of gives it the extra real estate, and then you're essentially good to go from right there. So super easy setup. I mean, it's like 5-10 seconds to essentially have the whole camper set up, so tough to beat. And then we'll dive inside. Okay, so a little bit behind my thought process going into this build and what I devised, I guess, for the plan for this. Obviously, with it being a 5-foot bed, there's not a lot of space in the back of this truck. And coming from a van, I know that I do not like to crowd the space, but at the same time, I want a good usable space inside the truck bed. So I wanted to maximize that with storage, also comfortability. So that was kind of my thought process going into this whole truck bed build. So for the floor, I have Thinsulate insulation on the base level, and then very loud dump truck going by. Have Thinsulate on the base level, and then just 1/4-inch plywood on top of that. And then I even put this metal kind of L bracket piece right here to help from any bumps from shoes or whatnot. And then on top of that is just carpet material you can buy from Home Depot. And obviously cut all that to kind of fit the truck bed and put it in there because I wanted a base floor, subfloor, I guess, that I could screw everything to and mount, like the fridge, the Milwaukee, and the bench in the back too. And I wanted a firm space that I could mount all that stuff to. So that has worked out super good. From there, I knew I wanted a fridge, obviously, and then wanted some kind of storage solution, and then a bench that obviously doubled as more storage. So I built the bench out of 30/30 aluminum, and it wasn't really too hard. I just bought the aluminum and all the parts and pieces off Amazon. It's kind of like a big Lego piece. Pieced that all together to the measurements that I knew I wanted. It kind of goes wheel well to wheel well. And then put that together, put wood on the front, wood on the top, put a hinge so it opens up. And yeah, so I store my battery in there. I can show later, but there's more stuff inside of the bench. And then obviously me and my girlfriend can sit on that and work from the bench. Also can sit on the fridge, which is nice. I had a different fridge in here originally, and I think the cord or something I had was supplying insufficient power because it was turning off on a road trip. This was like a few days into our road trip. Essentially our fridge was not working. We came back to the back of the truck as our fridge is completely loaded up, and it was just off. So that was great. So I ended up having to buy this fridge on the road at an REI, but I knew Dometic would be solid, and it has been solid, and has been no issues at all since I got it. And then from there, we have the pack out. So I mounted this to the floor of the truck. I put a couple pieces of wood on top. Just coming from the van, I kind of had a little bit of experience mounting stuff to thin pieces of plywood on the floor. So I added these extra pieces of wood so then I'd have a little bit extra to screw into. So I mounted these pieces of wood into the plywood, and then the metal Milwaukee pack out kind of bracket or base piece is screwed into that, and then into the subfloor, obviously. So this thing isn't going anywhere, and it's super nice because it clicks in, and then I can just pop this. And when we get to our campsite, I will usually just pop that off, take the pack out, either put it here on the tailgate or put it on the ground that I can cook off of. So that has been super helpful. And that was another thing with this whole setup, is I kind of wanted everything to be modular and movable. So same with the fridge, I can just undo the straps, fridge comes right out. This thing, in a matter of 5 seconds, I can have the pack out of the back of the truck bed. And then I also have this little table here that I bought off Amazon. Super nice thing about pack outs is people make all these accessories for them. So I think I got this on Amazon, but there's stuff on Pinterest, or not Pinterest, Etsy and whatnot. And then there's kind of little tabletops on top of here that fit in, so it makes the top of the pack out flat. And then I made this little towel holder here just out of some extra rope I had, and these little magnet hooks. And yeah, that's kind of it for this zone of the camper. Another super nice addition to the Lone Peak is they have all these accessories and things you can buy. I feel like that's one thing a lot of the other camper brands are kind of missing, that you just get the camper and then obviously you have a shell, but you don't really have much else. So Lone Peak offers this gear vault. So it has a drop down table, which is super nice. I made coffee on this many times. And then they have these little zipper pouches. So like up in here, I've got a thermocell, a jump pack, propane, extra Starlink accessories, a little mini camp stove, and I mean all kinds of other stuff. All of my coffee making supplies in here, propane on here under in this little bungee, and then I got just tape, an air gauge, and then my little air compressor right here. So this is super handy. Really love this. It doesn't take up much space, and then on the inside of it there's also a table mounted to the back that just straps up, so whenever you're on the inside and you need some extra working space, you just drop that down and then you've got a whole extra table on the inside. And it has the Moly laser cut metal material on the back, so you can see in there, I'll show you, I put a couple pouches that I had laying around my house in there for just some extra storage. So really loving this, and I mean obviously everything just closes up super easy like that. So climbing up into the truck bed here, get my Starlink out of the way. To get the bed up, it's super simple. All I have to do is hop in here, just push the bed up a little bit, and then the gas struts kind of take it up, so then it's up out of the way. So yeah, from there you could pretty much have the entire truck bed to stand up and walk around, and there is honestly an insane amount of space. I can stand up in here, put my hands completely in the air, and I'm still like 2-3 feet from the top of the roof, which is crazy. And moving into the inside stuff, so this is kind of the table I was talking about on the inside of the gear vault. So just one little Velcro strap, and then that just pops down. You got an entire table here to work off of, or we kind of keep it down like this and put our phones and water bottles and stuff when we're sleeping kind of right there, just for easy access from the bed. And then just like that, it straps up. And then here I've got a couple pouches. So I just had these extra pouches laying around, so I got this one mounted here to the back of the gear vault, another one that we kind of use for trash, and then these the baby wipes right here, and then another pouch right there. So yeah, and then I keep this damp rid in here when we're in humid environments. Sometimes when we're sleeping, you'll wake up, there's water on the inside of the tent. So Upper Left Adventures, another thing I got from him, just holds this damp rid container. It mounts right to the side of the L track, so that's been super handy to have. And then right here by my feet over here, I have an on-tap Roam, which is a water sprayer that honestly I thought would maybe be I would have buyer's regret, but was probably one of the best things I had on the entire trip. It just charges by USB. I charged it one time before the trip, never charged it again, and it holds so much water, sprays for like 6 minutes continually until it has to like repump pressure, never really had that issue that I ran into. And yeah, that's just been super handy. Wash hands, wash dishes, wash off the dog, fill up the water bowl for the dog. Like, I mean, there's so many things that it's come in handy for. Really love that. So moving over here to what I would say is probably one of the best features of the Lone Peak camper is the juice box power controller. So when you buy this, I bought the camper with the juice box and the power plate and the battery and everything. The power plate is already put up. Battery just has to be connected to the ring terminals to this. And essentially this controls everything in the camper. So it has three-zone lighting. So I have lights here on the tailgate, and then that's also in the back by the window of the truck. And then I have tent lights, which is the top of the tent. And then I have side lights, which are right here, and then obviously on the other side. So these can be controlled. You can dim them, you can make them brighter, make them less bright, and then you can even control the color so they can be orange or white. So incredibly handy, and I mean, this thing has been so nice. One of the things with this build is coming from the van that I put together myself and wired all myself. I wanted something that was just dialed in from the get-go, and this definitely made it feel that way. So I mean, I have the lights here on the back of the truck, so that's controlled by the backlight, and then the fan controlled right here. Heater has its own button. The auxiliary ports are controlled right there, and then I even wired in my Starlink. So I hooked up my Starlink to the top here. That goes to a 30-volt inverter, and then that is wired all the way to the roof, which I will show later. So, and the nicest thing about this too is you can control all this from an app. So we'll be in the truck driving on the highway 70 miles an hour, and we need Wi-Fi because we both remote work. So I can just pop up the app on my phone, hit the Starlink button, and then it immediately turns on, and we have Wi-Fi within 5 minutes or so once the Starlink boots up. So pretty incredible. And yeah, I have no complaints here. This thing has been super handy. Wiring is super easy, and yeah, loving the juice box. So moving to the inside of the truck, right here I kind of store my leveling blocks. I will say I went through a couple leveling block styles, and this is definitely the best one that I have found. Super easy to drive up on, obviously, because it's kind of curved, so you just drive up on it like a ramp. And yeah, really loving this. Got two of these. I can kind of just put them on the tire as I need, and just hop up on and level the truck out super easy. Inside of here, I don't know if you'll really be able to see, but I have my Milwaukee bag, which is a bunch of tools and stuff. I have a little bin inside here, which holds blankets and other stuff. I have camp chairs in the back here by the back of the truck bed. I have a Hess blanket, and then on the side over here I have the battery, which everything is wired into. So not a whole lot in here, but it can hold a fair amount, and yeah, super sturdy. I just put some of this whatever garage floor material on top, and then I found this cushion seat that pretty much fit the exact dimensions. And yeah, and then right here we have the power plate that comes from Lone Peak. So this comes already pre-hooked up, installed and everything. So it's got the solar charge controller, which takes the energy from the solar panel, runs it through here, converts it to the power that then charges the battery. And then I have the inverter here, so you can have 100 or 110 AC power running to charge laptops or whatever you need right there with the click of a button. And then you can even have the DC to DC charger, which I do not have hooked up yet, but yeah. And then right here I have the rear window, which I went for on this build. I don't ever like use it as a pass through to the truck, but the one thing I do like about it is I can still see straight through from my rear view mirror all the way out the back with the back window of the camper. So really loving that. And yeah, that's pretty much kind of it for the interior of the build. I figured I'd bring y'all inside to show you this, but so up here is underneath the bed platform. So there's the bed, it goes all the way up pretty much against the roof, and then down here is just extra storage. We like to have the dog sit in here when we're kind of hanging out at camp. We'll put her little bed up there and she can hang out. And then it has this positive pressure vent right there to help suck all the dust out, so your camper doesn't get super dusty and whatnot. And then obviously with the power cords going, so I have the Starlink cable inverter right there, the extra cordage I kind of hooked up to stay right there, and then it runs to the front and then up to the roof. And then to bring the bed down, all I really have to do is just grab this pull it down, and you kind of got to support it for the last little bit of the way, and then it just sits down right there. So also up here we have the fan, which I opted for, which I really love. If it's hot in the tent and you're in a cooler place, you can just kind of turn that on to suck all the cool air in, and it works super great, no complaints. Moving sort of to the roof of the tent, we have this massive 520 watt solar panel on the top, and they call it the overkill solar panel because it is 100% overkill for the 100 amp hour battery that's inside. But the thing I like about it though is if you do run the battery down at all, I mean, you need like an hour, 30 minutes to an hour maximum of sunlight with this panel to charge that thing back up to 100. So I don't think we probably ever went below 70 or 60% at night probably with the battery, but even so in the morning, I mean, we would be charged up so fast. So I really do love that. I mean, there's not really much else that I need on the roof, so having the whole roof covered with the massive solar panel kind of helps out, and is a good trade-off. And then you can see obviously they have a wind blocker for the fan so that it doesn't pop up. And then in the front here, they had this extra kind of wire pass through. So I ran the Starlink cable through here, kind of sealed up the front of this so no water could get through, and then put a cable channel that has like 3M sticky on it. Ran that to the back, and then I mounted the cable on the rear, and then it has those 4 pucks. So essentially on the bottom of the Starlink, I got this from Unique Componentry. They have these magnetic little feet on the bottom of the Starlink Mini. So this just magnets to those 4 little pucks, and then I plug it in and I just leave it up there. I mean, we've been driving on the highway up to 85 miles an hour, and this thing has just stayed up there. It's kind of scary thinking it was going to fall or fly off at some point, but it never did. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the roof setup. And yeah, the Starlink was probably one of the biggest clutch things for the trip overall, just because, I mean, we both work remote, so we'd be on the road. If she was driving, I'd be working in the passenger seat. If I was driving, she'd be working in the passenger seat using the Wi-Fi. I mean, pretty much most of the campsites we stayed in were out of cell service range, so just to be able to like check maps and whatnot, see where we needed to go in the morning, we could turn on the Wi-Fi, also work at night. I mean, we could watch Netflix in bed. It's pretty bougie camping, I would say, having this thing up there, but it helps so much, and definitely would not go on a trip like that without it again. So yeah, overall, I'll show you the closing of the camp, or closing of the tent, and then that's kind of it for the entire truck. It's getting really hot out here and I'm starting to sweat, so I think it's about time to wrap this up. All right, so going back to the breakdown of the camper, you always want to make sure the bed is down on the inside. I've made the mistake of getting ready to go and then I look inside, the bed's still up. So you got to hop in there, put the bed down, and then always just close the rear door right here. I hop up. You got to put this down because you need to put the internal bar also down. So just grab this, hold the fabric back, and that just kind of lays on the bed. And then I also usually push, there's like a net here that holds all the fabric from the bed and the rear door. So all that kind of rests on the net. Grab your bungee, put that up here a bit. I like to tuck in the sides a little bit, grab the handle. Comes down super easy. Toss the handle inside, and then you just kind of got to ruffle the sides a little bit, pull them in to make sure they're kind of fully inside, because they like to get pushed out when the camper goes down. And then just as you're going down, continue to check that all the fabric is in, and then just kind of get it all the way down. And then from there, I just kind of check the sides to make sure no fabric is hanging off at the edges, and it looks like we're pretty good. So it's easy sometimes for the fabric just to stick out a little bit, but I'll just pop it back up and kind of push it back in as needed. And then these 2 latches go in like that, and that's literally all it takes to put the camper away, and then you're ready to drive. Forgot to mention, I have this little handle here I put in the tailgate, so when we're inside and then we're ready to go to sleep and whatnot, I can just grab this and yank the tailgate up. And yeah, that's pretty much how you pack up the tent. All right, so I kind of forgot to mention everything I did to seal up the truck bed as best I could. So I have this truck bed seal on the bottom here, which is just a rubber gasket, I guess somewhat you could say, that attaches to the tailgate and the truck bed, and kind of just kills that gap there where dust would just come up through. Honestly, it stuck pretty well. I think I bought the wrong size. I think it's a little bit too small, but it has not moved and has worked great so far. And then also on the inside here, I bought truck bed seal off Amazon and put some on the inside there, put some right here on the side, and then there to kind of block stuff that may come up through. And then that essentially blocks or seals up this side portion there on the truck bed. Trying to keep all the water and dust and everything out of the truck bed when you're on dirty roads or driving in the rain. And then it's nice too because Lone Peak has this dust seal on the rear door that you can kind of adjust. I had to adjust it one time just to bring it down a bit more to make sure dust wasn't coming in. And yeah, I mean, overall we had some dust come in. I mean, it is a truck bed, so you're gonna have stuff kind of make its way through here. There's cracks and whatnot all throughout truck beds. Be pretty tough to completely seal it, but it's done a pretty good job and kept pretty much everything out. And then also on the bed rails, before I had the camper installed, I took the bed rails off, put 3M flash tape all the way across, and then put sealant on top of that, and then put the bed rails back to try and seal that up a little extra. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the whole truck bed. Yeah, otherwise, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments or whatnot below. But yeah, super stoked with how this thing performed for the entire trip that we went on, and excited to go on even more trips going forward. The Lone Peak has served us great, and the Frontier works incredibly well. So super stoked, and yeah, thanks for watching.
Where do I begin? Who among us here is without sin? I'm just a lonesome drifter on the only highway